Good morning to all colleagues. I hope to find you well and in good health. I would like to begin by thanking my friend and colleague Professor Helena Cabeleira for helping me in the making of this recording. Without her, it would have been impossible to do it on my own. My presentation deals with the Estado Novo regime in Portugal, 1926-74, and I will be showing images ranging from the 30s to the 60s. I would like to begin my presentation by stating where I stand from the methodological and theoretical point of view. To begin with, I would like to say that the image I will present here include propaganda materials. Included in these are different types of images such as illustrations, maps, posters and postcards, schoolbook iconography, texts, illustrations, posters and maps, and photographs from educational settings in the African and Oriental colonies, Mozambique, Angola, Guinea and Macau, such as buildings, classrooms, courtyards and canteens. My purpose is to understand the use of images as visual narratives about a set of topics, to legitimize educational reforms, to affirm the greatness of the historical past, to provide the imagination of the colonial empire, to build a nationalistic ideology, to state the expectations about the self-government of the students regarding social, community, family and individual behavior, and to regulate interracial interactions among the Portuguese. To understand how these images are produced to a more wider or restricted audience and different publics, to understand how these images enact different strategies, symbolically or actually speaking, in order to convey representations, ideas, and accordingly to induce practices. And finally, to understand how these images circulated and were appropriated by the different subjects is my overall purpose. However, it cannot be discussed in full length here. Therefore, my comments will be oversimplified. Nevertheless, I should add that my works builds upon the debates of António Novoa, Inês Dussel, Karin Prim, Martin Lon, Kate Roosmanier, Jan Grosmer, Mark de Pape, and Elizabeth Edwards, among other educational historians. Portugal, it's not a small country. This map stages a world of Portuguese influence when the colonies are superimposed on the map of Europe. Distortion and superimposition techniques play an important part as a paratext. The Portuguese Empire, in its maximum expression, encompassed more than 3 parts of the world. This is the title of this map. It's a pictorial exaggeration depicted in the black-red chromatic option and conveys a nationalistic hypertrophic sentiment suggesting power, dominion, greatness, and a glorious past. The map has no title, but one does not need one. Salazar, the dictator, and Portugal are as one and the same. The image sends a powerful message about control, but also of tranquility, dominion, reassuring the viewer that the Father is both watching us and watching for us. Seeing history is easier and more effective than reading history. In a country where 40% of the population in the early 50s was illiterate, to see history is an important educational ideological tool. These posters condense in one image the history of each overseas colony, choosing to portray discovery scenes as an emulation of all its historical past. Salazar's lessons were a series of 7 posters distributed in the early 40s to all primary schools in the country. They start with the apex of the new state ideological creed, God, motherland, family. This image is, at the same time, extremely detailed in individual pictorial terms and highly conceptual about the message it conveys to the viewer. A child can relate to it effortlessly because the elements depicted resonate with the average Portuguese layman, woman and child. Until today, many Portuguese refer to this postcard as one of the most important images of childhood. I will skip the remaining 6 lessons for a question of time. School books also provided guidelines about social and racial relations. The armed forces man with the child is one of the latest images of the regime attempting to forge an alliance between the African and Portuguese descent population fighting side by side in the African territories. It attempts to show the multiracial character of the struggle, deviating it from a political or even ideological battle between colonizers and colonized. The fight is about Portugal, supposedly a multiracial national unit. The next slides will be showing schools in the overseas provinces of Mozambique, Angola, Guinea, and Macau. In the 40s, photographs tended to depict the material achievements of the colonizing nation in all realms of the society. They presented seemingly grandiose buildings and under construction sites, trying to show the work and effort of the new state. From the mid-50s onwards, mounting pressures from the United Nations and the Pan-African independent movement forced a change in the type of photos. Now we can see people around the schools. We can see inside the classrooms. First, the regime depicted European teachers. Then, the teachers are also of African descent. There's a suggestion here, but a distorted one as well. The number of secondary black teachers was residual in the colonial system throughout the Estado Novo regime. Finally, students relate with each other happily, in the classroom, in the courtyard, in the school canteens. It was all but a staged vision also. Thank you.